Hi, friends! Join us as we dive into the themes, metaphors, and foreshadowing of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. With both a spoiler and spoiler-free analysis, there's something here for everyone. We are your hosts, Leah,
Sarah, Tabby,
and whether you're a new viewer or a longtime fan, welcome to Becoming Buffy.
Hello, Scoobies. Welcome back to Becoming Buffy. This is the spoiler section for Banned Candy. This is our warning for those of you who have not been here before. For those of you who have, you know the drill. This is going to be spoilers for all things Buffy as well as the show Angel. So if you don't want to know spoilers and you haven't seen it, then you totally can come back next time or come back on your rewatch and listen to what we have to say. But if not, welcome. And there's not really a ton to talk about today. I feel like Banned Candy is one of those like standalone episodes that you could just watch and appreciate for what it is. And it's still setting things up, but it's not necessarily giving you any new information, you know?
Yeah. I think this episode just has a lot to do with characters. Like it does a lot for Joyce, like Joyce's character. It does a lot for Giles's character, kind of sets up some funny stuff between them that happens later. But also the mayor. The mayor is very interesting in this episode.
Yeah.
He just it's interesting to see him not necessarily scared of Buffy, but just calculated around her.
Yeah, we haven't really seen him like directly address her either. Like he saw her come in the sewers and then he was like, okay, this isn't going to work, and backed off. But then he didn't really talk about her with Trix. So I'm like excited to when we finally get to the episode where he's like, okay, this Slayer thing is a problem, because I feel like he doesn't quite, I think he's underestimating Buffy at this point. But I agree with you, Leah. I think this episode is mostly filling in the blanks for characters like Giles and Joyce and even Snyder, not necessarily things that are super important to the overall plot of the show, but is really fun to have because it helps make these characters real.
This is one of those episodes I feel like that every show has in the middle of the show where the characters are really like in a good groove and we know them really well, so that you're able to play on their characters.
Yeah.
So it's like you can make jokes or have certain situations because you either know how they will act because you know the characters really well, or they can make fun of themselves and it's funny because you know the characters. They're also like kind of like sort of breaking the fourth wall because at this point everyone really wanted Joyce and Giles together, and so like let's give it to you in this episode. Like these episodes are like one of my favorites because they like in every single show I can think of like a couple of them where it's like there's an episode where it hits where it's like everything's hit a groove and everyone knows the characters and the story really well, so they can really play on that. And it's just such a fun episode to watch as a viewer.
Not to mention, we kind of get the payoff of watching for a while because Ethan Rain comes back. You kind of get more tie-ins into Ripper Giles. And then like you're also getting more fed with the storyline of Angel and Buffy. You're getting more screen time of Joyce. Like it really is just... It's a really well-made episode, but it's also just very satisfying for the fans.
You know what I was thinking about? We haven't seen Harmony in like a season.
I don't think we've seen Harmony at all in season 3 yet. I don't remember the last time that we've seen her.
I think it was like the later half of season 2. I'm being serious. Like I really think that was the last time we saw her.
Yeah, we definitely haven't seen her this season yet. I don't remember the last time we saw her. I'll have to look it up.
Every time that happens in TV shows, sometimes I'm always like, oh, was that actor or actress struggling financially because the show just was like would just casually, like Jonathan, like just casually brings them in for like an episode every like 3 months. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they have other jobs, or there's other things they're doing at the time. I know Mercedes McNabb was pretty big because she was on Addams Family and doing a few other things, but it's kind of crazy. Like Harmony is barely in the show at this point.
Yeah.
I think we will definitely see her in The Wish.
Season 4 and 5.
I think The Wish, it might be the next time we see her. But yeah, season 4 and 5, she's actually in quite a bit, which is really, really funny. And then she like ends up having a prominent role over on Angel, which is hysterical.
You know what's funny? I mean, not that you guys are going to be surprised by this, but when Harmony became a vampire, I didn't remember her from the high school.
Of course. My gosh. Are we surprised?
She came back in it and they all were like, it's Harmony. And I was like, who the frick is Harmony? It wasn't until I
Yeah, you have a
watched
problem
the
with
show
blondes.
that I was like, oh, that's Harmony. But like, I literally only knew her as Vampire Harmony.
Well, you didn't remember when we were watching Angel either. We're like, oh, hey, look, Harmony pops in Angel. And you were like, who is Harmony? And we were
Yeah,
like,
no,
Too many
literally.
blondes on
gosh.
Angel. Too many.
No, seriously.
Yeah, I'm surprised Angel didn't have a thing with Harmony either. Him and blondes.
There's no way those two
I
would
know.
have ever worked together. That would have been weird.
So we're definitely going to talk about Jane Espenson as time goes on, but I thought it might be kind of fun to tell you guys the other episodes that she has written in the Buffyverse. So obviously Band Candy is her first episode. She also wrote Gingerbread. She wrote Earshot, which I absolutely love. She wrote The Harsh Light of Day, Pangs, Doomed, which she also co-wrote with Marty Knox and David Fury, A New Man, Superstar, The Replacement, Triangle, Checkpoint, I Was Made to Love You, Intervention, Afterlife, Flooded, Life Serial, Double Meat Palace, Same Time, Same Place, Conversations with Dead People. She wrote the Dawn portion of that episode when Dawn is seeing Joyce. Sleeper, First Date, Storyteller, and End of Days. Leah, do you recognize any of those episode names?
I know the one that you're talking about where Dawn brings Joyce back from the bed. The dead. But
back from the couch,
though.
technically. Yeah.
That's a lot of filler episodes.
She does comedic episodes really, really well. But I mean, there's some things that like happen really well. Like I Was Made to Love You. A lot happens in that one. Conversations with Dead People. I think she won an award for that one.
That's a beautiful episode. Conversation with Dead People, I always forget about. I think when we get to 7, there's a lot of things that, like the feel of Buffy, I get really sad about in 7. But I always go into it being like, I hate season 7. And so when I watch certain episodes, I'm always like, oh, I like this. So, you just have to downplay it. And so when you watch it, you end up enjoying it more.
I personally actually really love season 7. I know that it is lacking. I know it's not as well written. I think that they don't do as good of a job with the individual characterizations. I think that they kind of let down every single character at a certain point. I feel like Buffy's character is not as well defined in that one. Obviously, I have a ton of other issues with other things, which I will save for later. But I think that there are still some amazing moments. And I think that people so often just lump all of season 7 together because it's weaker. And it's actually one of, I feel like, the most ambitious seasons. I feel like the Big Bad is one of the best Big Bads. I feel like it's not... Big Bad is at least the idea of the Big Bad. I don't think it was as fully fleshed out as obviously other Big Bads. But I absolutely love how it ends. I think it's got some of the best episodes of the series in it. I'm actually really excited to talk about season 7.
Episodes?
Well, Conversations with Dead People is a phenomenal episode.
Selfless is one of my favorites.
Yes, I love Selfless. I love the episode. What's the one where she saves Cassie? I can't remember the name of that one.
Help.
It's not Helpless.
Helpful.
No,
Helpful.
Help. I think it's just...
Is it just called Help? I cannot remember.
I think so.
Yeah. It's the episode with Cassie because I feel like that felt like a real like true to form return with Buffy. I know that him has some problematic moments, but it does feel very early Buffy in a lot of ways. I'm not saying it's one of the best episodes, but I enjoy it. I absolutely love Storyteller. I think it's one of the more underrated episodes of the series.
How do you guys remember the titles? Like my head is
sorry.
literally
Let me break it down for you.
I literally feel like I need to bring a like thesaurus reference book when I come to these podcasts because you're like,
we'll buy one for you.
That one time in Unicorn's Butt Fairy episode, that one. I remember Xander and Willow did this, and then you're like, and then in the other episode, like the killing spree, I remember that. I'm like, what the frick? Like, just say the season and the episode. Like, I'll remember it if you start explaining it, but I can't pull titles out of my booty hole like you guys do. I don't understand how you do it. I literally sit here, I'm like, yeah.
All right, just ask. Say which one's that, and I'll tell you. Okay, Storyteller's the one.
You literally named like 50. I can't even tell you which ones.
Okay.
You're like, in Storyteller and Deadman's
Leah.
Party and like a Ghosts of 16 Years Past and like, I don't know. It literally sounds like gibberish to me. Like at this point, you could be making them up, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I love that episode."
Leah, Selfless is the one with
Anya.
the backstory of Anya.
I remember. Oh.
And where she slaughters all of like the frat boys,
Mhm.
and then
and Buffy
like,
has to go kill her.
Yeah. See, I remember the episode, but I don't remember the title.
That's fine. Just ask for clarification.
The only ones that I remember the title on are like Passion or like Becoming or like.
But also, you
like
only seen
episodes
season
like that
7
where
once, so that makes sense.
It's literally I remember I forget the titles of episodes in season 1.
But if I tell you Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, you know which one that is, right? Oh no. No.
If you explain the episode, I understand, but I just don't know titles very well.
That's
That's when everyone's in love with Xander in season 2.
Oh yeah, see, I know that one.
Yeah, that's
god
fine.
awful. I could assume that it was about something witchcrafty, but like, you know.
And to be fair, I don't know every single Buffy episode. Honestly, the ones that I'm a little bit more shaky on is season 6. Like when they start listing off the titles for season 6 episodes, I start to go, oh, I don't remember that as well. Just because there's like, I think a string of like 6 episodes that I absolutely abhor. And so I kind of don't really watch very much. And I think that's a big part of it. But
I know the more polarizing episodes titles of season 6. There's ones that I just like don't like, only just like the feel of it. I just feel like there's a lot of filler episodes of just Buffy being miserable. I just don't remember those ones in season 6. I'm like, you know what? Unless major stuff happens in the episode where I have to watch Buffy be miserable, then I'll watch it. But if she's just being miserable and it's like this random filler episode, I don't feel like I need to watch that.
Yeah. Anyway, we are getting so far off tangent. But yes, Jane Espenson is a great writer. I don't always agree with the direction she takes characters. But I do really love her episodes. I feel like she has a really good balance of funny, but then she also really understands how to write for the voices of each character. And it's just always very interesting whenever I see her name pop up on screen.
I always forget that Ethan Rayne comes back in A New Man.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is like his last episode. And so I was like kind of mourning his character while we were doing like the non-spoiler section. And I was like, oh yeah, I forget about a lot of the filler episodes in season 4. When I think of season 4, I think of like the good episodes and then Riley. And then I'm like, ugh. And then I just kind of move on. But I forget like the random in between ones. And A New Man is one that I think I've seen it like twice. And I forget that Ethan Rayne is in that one.
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited to talk about season 4 because season 4 and season 6 are the seasons I feel like I know the least about because I don't watch them very much. But season 4 is the weakest when it comes to the overarching plot and the villain, but it has some of the strongest run of episodes. Like it's got Something Blue, it's got Hush, it's got Who Are You, and I forget the other one, the two with Faith where they do the body swap.
Who Are You? And
oh, those episodes.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to talk about. And then Restless, obviously. So it's got some very, very strong episodes. The characterization is really good. It just is lacking on the overarching and villain side of things.
I get similar feels of season 4 and season 7 only because it feels very
disjointed.
Buffy. Yes. It feel like I'd rather watch season 4 than season 7 only because Buffy's character doesn't have the light spark to it just because she's so exhausted and just like run out. And so at least Buffy has a little bit of like her lightness to her in season 4. But like, I don't know, they have similar feels. I think it's because season 4 is supposed to have the feel of like separation and like everything's brand new. My friends like are kind of like you have to fight harder to stay as close. Like it's supposed to feel like that because it's the first year of college.
Well, it's such a transition season. So it's very jarring after the 3 seasons that were like,
they don't really have like a spot that they always go to other than Giles's house.
Giles is also floundering.
Especially coming
Riley.
right after season 3, which was so cohesive and so like tight. Then going into season 4, like that has to be hard.
Yeah.
I think going from like Angel to Riley, I'm not the biggest Riley hater. And I really am not. Like, I think that he's fine. It's just more of season 5 I can't stand of him. The 6 episodes that he's in, I'm like, this is too much for me. Season 4,
I would agree.
Season 4, I'm like, whatever. Like, you're kind of in the background until it's like the last like 5 episodes, and I'm like, okay, this is a little too much Riley. But like season 4, I'm like, whatever. It's just like the overarching villain does not do it for me. He's like really laughable and it's embarrassing. And like I get so mad because I think about it. And the last place that I stayed at, whenever one of my roommates would come in and I was binging season 4 with Leah, and I kept telling her how good the show is, and she would come in when freaking Adam was in there. And so she has like with this weird idea of what Buffy is. I'm like, I swear it's so much better, but it was embarrassing. Like having Adam come in and he's like, I, expel life or whatever he says. And you're like,
we're like, the show is so much better than this, we promise.
This is embarrassing. I swear I don't watch this like crappy television.
The show starts to go more science fiction and less vampire supernatural lore. And so after season 4, they were like, okay, go back to the supernatural. And I feel like Buffy versus Dracula is like an extreme overcorrection where they're like, haha, look, we're back with the vampires. And you're like, okay. It's like,
but also,
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in watching a military show. I've never in my life watched one. Don't have the intention to watch one. I'm sorry, David Boreanaz. SEAL Team sounds great. But like, it's just, I tune out. I can't do it. I can't do men being in military. Like, I can't watch a show like that. Like, it's just so boring to me.
Yeah. And I'm excited because season 4, there's a lot of, I think it's going to be the season where we're like, would have been better if they'd done this. Would have been better if they'd done this.
Yeah.
It suffered, and we've talked about it before. It suffered because of, Maggie Walsh, the actress who plays her, had to leave. Oz leaves.
That was good though. I'm glad that Oz left because I think I would have hated season 4 if he ended up staying.
Yeah, what they were planning on doing. Yeah, I agree. So.
Yeah, but then his episode where he comes back is just so
infuriating and sad and depressing, and
it doesn't do him justice.
No, I agree.
I think that my biggest thing is that Buffy has created just such amazing characters, but some of them they just didn't give them the ending they deserve. They did this with Cordy on Buffy, at least. They do this with Oz. They do it with even Anya. Like, I feel like her ending could have been a little bit like better.
Very
I feel
lackluster.
Like hers. I think her dying isn't my beef because I think the way she dies and all that is very honorable. I think it's the episodes leading up to it that could have been a little bit more respectful to Anya and could have done her a little bit of justice more.
And the response, that's my girl, moves on.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's perfect.
I think the response makes a lot of sense and stuff.
What?
Yeah, it totally does.
It makes sense for their relationship, and everyone knew going into that fight that it could have been, that it probably was going to be their last fight.
Yes. I'm pretty sure Xander mourned Anya later on. We just were not able to see it. And the thing is that like you even have Dawn telling Buffy, I don't want to say goodbye to you or I don't want to say you see you later or whatever, because that might be goodbye, or like everybody just kind of knew that somebody was like that they could die at any point. And so I think it adds to the gravitas of it. And I think Xander's response is actually very perfect.
This is getting big people so mad. But I think Giles should have died in the last episode.
I don't think Giles should have died in the last episode. I think Giles should have died in early season 7.
I think he should have died somewhere in season 7. And I think because I think it would have been honorable, and him sacrificing himself for Buffy to kind of like end his like being like, I'm sorry that I've like, not trusted you, and died in an honorable way for Buffy, and said I wouldn't be mad at him. But it's just like, I just kept getting more mad at him in season 7. And I was like, where's old Giles? I feel like if he had sacrificed himself or just like helped in some way and died honorably, I feel like it would have been like a good send off for him.
Season 7 didn't know what to do with Giles. And I think it would have been super cool if you would have had him die. And then, not that we want Giles to die. I'm not saying I want Giles to die because I love him, but I think that it would have been really impactful to have him die and then have the first inhabit his body for the rest of the season. And then
because it would have been messing with Buffy's brain, and then Buffy would have to overcome that,
and it's all
find
about
her own power.
Right.
But I think it would have really fit, like, and this is a little soap opera because I'm going to go on for a second. It really would have fit the theme of season 7, because Buffy's supposed to find her own power in herself rather than having like people above her who are telling her what to do. She's like an actual woman. She's making these decisions on her own, decisions that Giles doesn't agree with, someone who has always been hip to hip with her throughout all of the seasons. And so I think it really would have like worked well with the season if like Buffy had to really like make the hard decisions that people disagree with, because she felt in her heart that this was the right decision, even if it like people disagreed with it. And I feel like Giles not being there for that, or like, I don't know, I just feel like they could have utilized him in that sense in season 7.
I agree. As much as I would not want Giles to die, I feel like it would have made more sense for his character to die rather than stand by and watch what happened in season 7.
Yep.
And actively be a part of it as well.
Yeah. I see. Here's the thing. And we're like going so far off the beaten trail, but why not? We're here. So specifically like conversations with dead people. Buffy and Giles actually like have the same goal in mind. And they're both at that point, Buffy's thinking big picture. I'm keeping Spike around, like take out the romance aspect. I'm keeping Spike around because he's a good fighter and I need everybody I can get at this point. That's why she's willing to sacrifice Robin for Spike. Not saying I agree with this. That's just Buffy's whole mindset. That's a whole can of worms I don't even want to touch right now. Giles is thinking big picture. Giles has always been big picture guy. That's why he tells her, sacrificing Ben is a big picture. He tells Buffy, you need to kill Dawn in season 5. Like he's always been the guy that's like, always do the right thing no matter the cost. And that's Buffy too. But they both have different ways of going around it. The thing that really like makes me very upset is in conversations with dead people, I actually agree with Giles. I agree with Giles over Buffy. And I get frustrated because I feel like that's crappy writing on the show's part where they're like, Giles is going, look what Spike has done to you. And I'm going to make a lot of people mad. This is just going to be our controversial episode. But Giles is like, look what Spike has done to you. He's got the trigger in him. We don't know what causes it. We don't know if like he's just volatile and he could turn on you at any moment, all this stuff. And I don't agree with how he went about things behind Buffy's back, but I do agree with him just saying, look, like, I don't know that we should keep Spike around. And yeah, along with the whole like
Wait,
victim.
you mean lies my parents told me?
Mm-hmm.
You said conversations
Oh,
with dead
sorry.
people, and
I
I'm
meant-
so confused.
My bad. I meant lies my parents tell me. Yes. Thank you.
Got it.
Yes. Yes, I meant lies my parents told me
stupid
the entire
Sarah.
time.
Lee doesn't know what we're talking
You
about.
didn't know the stupid title of this stupid episode.
Tough crowd, man. Such a standard. And I feel weird talking about this when I can't like delve deeply into my reasoning for everything, and I will go into it. But like the victim blaming of Robin with Spike, like I understand the overall message that they're trying to tell of like the mission is what matters. That's what they're trying to tell us. But they're forgetting empathy, compassion, trauma, all this stuff, and like the human feelings along the way. And so it's very frustrating to me that that's what causes Buffy and Giles to turn against each other, because like it feels like a very stupid reason. I feel like they could have had them struggle with it in a different way instead of that. And it's stupid that the show puts us in the position of being uncomfortable with Giles's position when you kind of can see his point. So
I think, yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get there. I think.
Leah's like, I don't remember much about the episode, so.
No, I remember the episode. The thing is that I agree with Giles and his idea, but it wasn't his call to make.
And so I don't agree with how he went about it. However, I agree with his premise, and ultimately, like in that episode, I side more with Giles than with Buffy, and that's a really uncomfortable thing for me because I always side with Buffy, and the show is wants us to side with Buffy and is trying to paint Giles as the bad guy. And so it's very hard for me in that episode to say, oh yeah, like, gosh, Giles, what are you doing? When I'm like, I kind of see his point, But
also, I'm not mad at him for thinking differently than Buffy. I'm mad at the fact that like of how they did a disservice to his character and not trusting or allowing Buffy to make her own mistakes and decisions. Because when has she ever like skipped out on making the hard decision when she had to? Never.
Yeah.
She's always made the hard decision when she had to or found a way around it.
And it felt like a season 1-2 issue where Giles doesn't trust Buffy. It's like, obviously he trusts her. There's been many episodes showing how he actively takes a back seat and lets her make the call, It just felt like a huge regression of his character.
Yeah.
I agree. Anyways, so in Ben Candy,
Go ahead, Leah. You have something to say?
No, I actually really don't. I mean, this episode is generally and what am I trying to say? This episode is in general very enjoyable to watch. Man, that one person who said I need to take a communications class is gonna love this.
As if they're still listening.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, pal.
Well,
Hey,
just to hear me mess up. All that being said, I think this episode does a lot, and I think that once you've seen the show, this episode, Sarah, why are you laughing? Guys, I'm leaving the podcast. This is actually my last episode. I never take it seriously. I don't know the titles of the episodes.
Leah, we love you. We want to keep you on here. No, I'm just dying. I'm remembering that review that the guy. So for everyone, no one understands what we're talking about. Brief side note: someone left us a review on our podcast. If you would love to check it out, you totally can. It's still up. But basically, they were saying that Leah needs to take a communications class.
Which is ironic because, guys, I'm a communications major.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't seem like it.
And they told Leah,
but I can communicate sometimes.
yeah, they said that she sounds. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it was like
he goes,
airhead.
she would benefit from a communications class
they said
or an English class.
Or reading a
They
book.
said reading a book.
Or reading a book.
Yes, I know. Anyway, yes, send your love to Leah. She needs your prayers and your good reviews.
And apparently I need recommendations for a communications class because I don't know what I'm saying.
But the funny thing was the next episode, you read of Mice and Men, and then we also talked about A Most Dangerous Game and stuff. So like, obviously you've read books. Anyway, go ahead.
She's like, actually, those are the only two I've ever read.
Yeah, I was like, I actually didn't read them. I read the back cover. I read the Spark Notes. But Band Candy is one of those episodes where it actually is more fun to watch after you've seen the show because, like, it is just so funny seeing the mayor avoid Buffy. It's so funny seeing Giles and Joyce be in this kind of like thing. And one thing I did want to mention is when Joyce dies, I know, mood killer, doesn't Giles listen to the song that they listen to in this episode?
Yeah. In the episode Forever, there's a brief moment after the funeral where you see Giles sitting in his home and he's listening to Tales of Ulysses, I think is the Cream episode or the Cream song. And it's the song they both listen to together, which that speaks so many volumes right there.
Mm-hmm. I just think this is one of those episodes where it just is entertaining to watch, but it really does a lot for the characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, the obligatory, we'll find out in earshot that they actually had sex twice on the police car. And then in the body, Buffy brings it up again to taunt Joyce when they're showing the Christmas episode with them together. And then every time I see Joyce and Giles together, I'm just reminded of the body when Giles finds her and comes to comfort Buffy. And I don't know, it makes me really sad. But then I'm also just like, I don't know, the way that they make you feel for these characters and the way that they show, the way that they care for each other and the way they care for Buffy, it's just so impactful and so powerful. And I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think it's all very beautiful, even if it's very tragic.
I said no show makes me as sad when characters died than like this show and maybe like one or two other shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they pour so much time and effort into really like fleshing out, especially the female characters in the show. And we all know that the female characters are the ones who die. Oh, I'm sorry. Angel and Spike died, but then they got taken back because they're too sexy to die. But like, R.I.P. Tara and
Jenny and
Jenny and
I mean,
everyone like that.
I think there is a semblance of fridging women, but I think that the show is about female characters, so it makes sense that female characters would die. There's also a lot more female characters on the show, so I'm kind of okay with it. And usually when a female dies, it's to further another female's arc. So I like it's not a full classifying of fridging. But let's not talk about Angel because I have some big issues with that, and we've talked about it before. So question for you guys. Do you guys feel like it was a missed opportunity that Joyce and Giles never got together in the show?
Okay, I have mixed appealings. What is wrong with me, you guys? To clarify, guys, it was a long day at work. Give me a little bit of pass.
I'm keeping all of this in.
Go for it. But oh my gosh.
You have mixed opinions about Joyce and Giles.
Yes, I have mixed opinions / feelings.
Tell us
about them. Because a part of me thinks that they literally are soulmates. Besides Jenny. But then there's another part of me that's like, I think if they had tried, the dynamic would have been so weird. I think it would have been really... Here's the thing. I think if it wasn't a show, they would have dated and it would have worked. But because it's a show, I think it would have been really hard to make them date and not make the dynamics with Buffy very weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they didn't, but there's always like been a part of me that kind of thought that they secretly had a little bit of love for each other.
I'm okay with it actually not happening. Like, it's one of those, sometimes I'll watch shows and I get really mad that they didn't have two people endgame or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I get so pissed. But this is one of those situations where I'm like, you know, it's whatever. Like, it's really okay that they didn't explore that. And here's why. I kind of feel like sometimes the show, I don't know, I feel like it would make it too soapy, because then it would be like Giles and Joyce. I feel like it would have caused a lot of unnecessary drama between like a parent pull between Buffy, and I feel like there would have been some insecurities in the relationship, and I feel like it would have detracted from some storylines. Obviously, I'm like projecting a little bit only because like this literally never happened, but like I feel like it might have caused a little bit more harm than good, and I'm like kind of glad they didn't do it. I feel like I would have been okay if it was like maybe season 5 or something. What show? Oh, kind of like a whole like Fred and Wesley thing where it's like they finally get together and she dies. I feel like that'd be really cruel. Just because I feel like if they really try to have them as a relationship, especially when Buffy's in high school, Joyce and Buffy's relationship is, even though it's like there's a ton of love there and they adore each other, it's like it's a bit strained from her leaving and or her being like a Slayer, or her not knowing she's a Slayer in seasons 1 and 2. And I feel like it would just cause too much. But maybe if they kind of like had them be a little thing in season 5 after Olivia and then she dies, maybe. But that's the only time I'd be like, sure. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it wouldn't have worked any other time.
Could you imagine if like we find out in season 4 that Giles and Joyce are secretly like have a love affair while Buffy's off at college because Giles is going through like a midlife crisis and Joyce is empty nesting, and then, you know,
that'd be kind of funny.
I'm not saying that I would have been for the full blown romance between them, but I think it would have been hilarious if there was like a moment where Buffy's
they
like,
make it lighthearted. Yeah, they're like, we have needs.
Buffy's trying to like sneak out of the house to go slay, and then she passes Giles, who's trying to sneak into the house to avoid Buffy to like go see Joyce. But yeah, I actually agree with both of you. I think sometimes our imagination is better than what it would have actually been. And I think Joyce and Giles are the two figureheads of both sides of Buffy's life. So in the end, I think that Joyce and Giles would not have worked out simply because they're both the representation of Buffy's normal life and her Slayer life. And as we know, those two lives don't intersect very well. And so I think that it would have been very hard. And I think ultimately Joyce and Giles did not pursue anything between the two of them because they knew how hard that would be for Buffy. And I think their mutual love for Buffy outweighed any attraction they had for each other. But it is still fun to think about like what could have happened. It also doesn't make sense that I think this is one of the things I get the most frustrated with the show about is Giles leaving in season 6. And I know we've talked about this, but it makes me very frustrated that Giles leaves Dawn knowing that Buffy and Joyce are dead after the love he had for both of them. Like, it felt weird that he was like, okay, Willow and Tara will take care of you. It's like, well, I feel like he would have wanted to stay to watch over her, you know?
There definitely are some decisions in season 6 that are very much for the plot of season 6 and not what would actually happen if they were real people.
Sure.
And it gets a little frustrating. Like Tara and like Willow not offering to help with money at all, just living rent free. I'm like, how would this fly? How? You know? And then Buffy's having to get a job.
Right. Maybe they are helping, but there wasn't a lot of sensitivity on Buffy, like dealing with the trauma and the fact that they're like, oh, okay, well, we're in school full time, so have fun, you know, getting a job. It's like, well, Buffy also is slaying full time. Like, yeah, there's a lot of decisions. Okay, there's a bunch of just little things in the episode that I'll kind of briefly mention. So Joyce being compassionate and scared about the babies kind of is consistent with Gingerbread when she's compassionate about the little children that die, and it kind of like leads into that whole mindset. It is kind of cool how they show how maternal she was even as a teenager.
I just love that we see Joyce young. She just makes so much sense.
Joyce needed an episode like this.
Yes, she did.
We needed to actually see her humanized a little bit because I think we often see Joyce through the eyes of Buffy. It was kind of cool to see Joyce through the eyes of Joyce, not so much through Buffy. And it allowed us to be like, oh, Joyce is really struggling with this whole slaying thing. And that's human and that's okay. And then watching how she's rebelling, I say in quotes, against Buffy, like when Buffy tells her to go back. And that's supposed to be like a metaphor of Joyce being like, I'm rebelling against you being a slayer and the frustration that I feel towards that.
She needed a lighthearted episode just because I feel like we always see her as like the bearer of bad news or someone who's always stressed or just like unsure of what to do when it comes to being Buffy's mom. And I don't think a lot of that is her fault. There are some situations where I'm like, okay, I know this is plot
device.
Yeah. But like, it's very frustrating that it's always Joyce. But I think it's like, we really needed an episode like this because I think for a while, especially in season 2, I was getting really frustrated with Joyce. And I just forget about some of those scenes in season 2 and then re-watching it. I'm like, oh, I forget about this. Because when I think of Joyce, I always think of like season 4 and 5 Joyce. I don't think of seasons 1 and 2 of Joyce. And I feel like after Gingerbread, she really starts to be a bit more healthy, a bit more relaxed when it comes to Buffy.
And finding a good balance with Buffy and her slaying life. I think this episode is very interesting too in the conversation that Joyce is going to have with Angel in the prom, where she tells him that, you know, Buffy needs to go to college and stuff. We don't have to get too much into that conversation, but I think understanding how Joyce was as a teenager, how she likes the bad boys, how she kind of like makes impulsive decisions and longs so much for that admiration, recognition, and even
she's
the connection.
Projecting. The whole conversation is projecting and taking away autonomy from Buffy, and
maybe I have mixed feelings about it, and we'll get there. But I think that this episode helps make us not so angry with Joyce in that episode because we kind of see that like Joyce does actually understand and remember what it's like to be a teenager. But yeah, that's a tough conversation. I'm excited to talk about that one.
But has she talked to Buffy? No, about Angel. They've had 0 conversations about her relationship with Angel. So it seems very much like, you haven't talked to Buffy, I'm going to go to the boyfriend.
Yeah, no, that I definitely agree with that. Yes. You need to be having a conversation on both ends, not just with him. Yeah. It's like she doesn't trust Buffy to make the decision, so she has to go to Angel to like thoroughly break her heart or whatever. I just watched Crimson Peak the other day. Go thoroughly.
Oh, you rewatched it?
Yeah, I showed Andrew.
What did he think of it?
He actually liked it. He was like, that was not as scary as I thought it was.
I liked it too.
I'm a sucker for gothic romance. I love gothic romance. And that's just
that's very cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that scene with Joyce and Giles where he takes the trash can and throws it into the glass and stuff kind of reminds me and mirrors Faith and Buffy and Bad Girls. When Faith's like, oh, you want that? And then they go into the armory and they take out all of those weapons. And I think that's kind of like, it's just kind of cool to see parallels between Buffy and Joyce. And then seeing how Giles can maybe relate and understand a little bit to Faith. So Angel doing Tai Chi is really interesting because in an episode or 2 away, I don't remember which one it is, you're going to see Buffy and Angel doing Tai Chi together. I think it is Revelations, the next episode. But it's interesting how each episode we're watching them get closer and closer. And I was reading something on Reddit today where someone was talking about how they think that Angel is really boring on the show Buffy and how he isn't really given much to do. And it feels like most of season 3, he's sitting around just waiting to go on his own show. And I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on that because I disagree.
Well, I think so far, no. I don't know if I can fully speak on the rest of season 3 just because I'll look out for it now. But he's had an excuse the past couple episodes. Like he's really like kind of trying to gain back his strength. But also like if you're going to have that excuse, then season 1 Angel should be the biggest beef. He just pops in and out and that's it. He's like, all right, so this big evil's coming. Good luck. Bye. And then leaves.
Yeah. Well, even early season 2 of Angel, do they not remember how little he's in the actual episodes? And he really doesn't do much until Surprise and Innocence.
I think it's just Angel as a character has such a presence that it's like you forget how little he's actually in the show. It's just because the character and every scene that him and Buffy are in, it's just like they are captivating. But it's like he really is not in as much as you would think he would be.
Well, that's everything We kind of talked about a lot of different random stuff today, but it was actually kind of fun. I enjoyed it. It was refreshing to talk about something other than season 3. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have any thoughts on any of the things that we mentioned above, please let us know. It's always fun to hear other people's opinions, especially when we talk about controversial things such as seasons 4 and 7. And we said a lot of controversial things. We're going to get some DMs. You guys can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Tumblr and TikTok at Becoming Buffy Podcast. You can email us at becomingbuffypodcast@gmail.com. If you guys enjoyed our conversation, please feel free to like and leave us a review. Leah would much appreciate it if you complimented her communication abilities.
No, guys, it's okay. We're just kidding. Don't tell them that.
But with that, you guys, we hope you have a great week and we will see you next time.